To meet you, everyone. My name is Jane. I'm an Apple Ads consultant here at AppTweak. I'm based in San Francisco. And original background before joining AppTweak is in mobile UA at a casual gaming company. This is my first webinar, but really excited to do this. We do have a chat box in the Zoom, and we have a couple of team members who's going to be keeping an eye on that and answering any questions. But yeah, nice to meet you. Give a couple more seconds and we'll jump straight in. All right. So today's webinar is about how to scale your Apple Ads campaigns. And a couple of bonus tactics will also be included. Before I jump in, I just want to confirm, can everyone see my screen? Can you give me like a thumbs up in the chat just to make sure? Amazing. Okay, let's get started. Oops, that is not what I wanted to happen. But here we go. So before we get started, we do have a poll, and that poll will appear. Basically, we just want to know how much are you spending a month? Where does that sit in your media marketing mix? But a poll should have popped up for you if you could answer that. Thank you. Give a couple more seconds. I think results are coming in. All right, so this is okay. So this is pretty interesting. It looks like about 13% spending under 10K. 13% is spending between 10 and 50K a month. And about half of the attendees are spending between 50 and 250K. I know that's quite a bit of a range, and about 25% are spending between 250K and $1 million. That's quite a range. But yeah, interested to talk more with you guys about this. All right, so we're here to talk about scaling Apple Ads with automations and keyword discovery. So in my experience, when you try to scale campaigns, there's typically two things that kind of come up time and time again, not only in my experience, but also in just speaking with clients that act as a bit of a blocker, right? And the two things are keyword discovery and bid management, because keyword discovery ends up becoming quite manual. If you are running any broad match campaigns or any sort of discovery campaigns in Apple Ads, you have to go to the search terms. You have to find the search terms that are promising. You have to extract those search terms. You have to negate those search terms. So it can be quite manual. And the second thing is a bit more obvious. It's bid management, right? Like as you scale, you potentially have more campaigns, more ad groups, and of course, more keywords, more geos, even if you have global campaigns. And that is a lot to keep an eye on. And in my experience, Apple Ads is not the only channel UA people are managing. They're managing several other channels as well. And that also becomes more reactive. So it's keyword discovery and kind of like that manual operational lift that's required. And that makes, you want to be proactive about any campaign, not just Apple Ads, instead of reactive. So I think there are two levers that we can really pull. And also sharing a bonus lever. One is AppTweak offers a feature called Exact Match Discovery. And this is a tool that will basically surface any keywords that you are not already bidding on. And the way that it can do that is with our Atlas AI. It's our proprietary AI, and it'll scan your product page, it'll look at your app, it'll look at your competitors, and it'll reference or cross-reference with the keywords that you were already bidding on. So this takes the manual work out of keyword discovery. The second one is automation rules. We have, through Campaign Manager, we have custom automation rules and we have smart bidding. I'll go into both, but automation rules in general, right? If you have a specific CPA target or ROAS target, right, or any sort of custom event that you are optimizing towards, this automation function can really take the manual lift out of optimization, and it's going to allow you to be more proactive with your optimizations instead of waiting to see what happens. And the bonus lever is bid and budget scheduling. Every app has seasonality patterns and patterns of usage when it comes to their app, right? Certain hours of the day, right? Certain months out of the year, certain days within a week. And if you can identify those patterns, it's going to allow you to be a lot more efficient with your budget, and it's going to allow you to control when your budget is spent. Cool. First thing that we're going to jump into is keyword discovery at scale. We do have an additional poll here. I want to know how many keywords, if you know off the top of your head, are you bidding on right now? Okay, looks like results are in. Oh, this is really interesting. Okay, 33% less than 100, 67% between 100 and 1,000. I know that's quite a big range. I wish I could ask a follow-up question, but how much of that is primarily going to brand and variations of brand terms? All right. So when it comes to exact match discovery, I kind of touched on this in the beginning, but the core idea is to surface keywords that are going to potentially bring in more traffic, right? More payers, more purchases by people who hit certain levels or certain events within your app proactively, right? And that's where the exact match discovery tool comes in, because again, it's going to surface the keywords that you're not already bidding on. And the core idea here is to find those keywords and test those keywords at low discovery bids. Low enough to start gathering, upper funnel signals to identify, oh, is this a good keyword? Can I expand on this instead of manually doing it, right? Because that is going to take a lot of time. And why I want to specifically talk about exact match is that when we test, search match or broad match, and we're identifying new search terms, we can't really see post-install metrics for those search terms. But exact match discovery is going to allow you to do that because we're testing it as exact match, which means you get to see post-install performance metrics. And I find that out of all the clients that I've spoken to during my time here at AppTweak, they want to see post-install metrics for newly discovered keywords. And this is, I would say, probably the biggest feature that I want to emphasize here is that you can see post-install performance for these new keywords. All right. Okay, so here's a quick screenshot of what the exact match discovery looks like. So when you are in Campaign Manager, there's going to be an option, right, for you to launch an exact match discovery campaign in which you set, the budget, the bids, and then it's going to scan your app. And once it scans your app and your product page, it's going to tell you like, hey, here's how many keywords we found. So in this example, found over 1,900 keywords. We've identified 374 that are already running. So there are about 1,500 keywords, a little over 1,500 keywords that need to be added. So again, like I really want to emphasize that this really takes the manual work out of this, because if you can imagine having to go and do keyword research manually for all of your competitors, that's a huge time suck. Cool. All right. Next is automation rules. And I wish I could have asked a poll for this one, but just maybe we can connect after the webinar. But very curious about how you maintain or improving your CPA efficiency as the keyword lists and the spend grow. Because manual bid adjustments, can become quite tedious. So this is kind of a high level how automation rules work. In Campaign Manager, this works off of like a if-then structure. So if, right, a keyword, an ad group, a campaign, a search term meets certain conditions that you do get to choose, then an action will occur, right? If a keyword has a minimum of 10 installs in the last, 10 days, and its CPA is, 10% above my target, then decrease the keyword bid by 5%. So I think there are three main types of rules, I guess you could say. Defensive, right? You are protecting your keyword visibility. And I find this one most applied to brand search terms. So if your impression share, right, for a brand search term is below a certain threshold, right, then you want to increase your bid to gain that impression share back. The second one is offensive. This is when you are really kind of conquesting, I would say. And I find this one mostly for like if you have a CPA target, if you have a ROAS target, and you see that it has really good performance and you want to try scaling it, then this one can be, for example, right, if your CPI, right, or CPA is a certain percentage below a target, then you want to increase your bid by a certain percent. Excuse me. And then the last one is maintenance, right? For example, in discovery campaigns, there's going to be certain keywords that, just aren't really relevant or not as relevant, and you just kind of want to pause them out or flag them for review. In which case, I would recommend having some sort of like maintenance custom automation rules. Like if a certain keyword doesn't get a certain number of impressions, right, a certain number of taps over the last 7 days, then we technically don't have data to really make a decision on that. So you want to increase the bid, right, to get more data. Alternatively, if you have a good chunk of data and you know that it's not performing well, conversion rate's really low, it's low interest, low tap through rates, then maybe you want to negate that keyword because you know that it's not really relevant to your app. So when I was working with the PrizePicks teams, we employed custom automation rules for specific CPA targets, as well as the bid and budget scheduling. And the result of those custom automations that we ran were nearly 4,000 custom automations executed, and this doesn't include additional like manual adjustments that we ended up doing. But I want to say like 96 to 98% of the optimizations that were done was through custom automations. And we were able to reduce the CPA target by 71%. So we were working during a timeline where we were working up to the Super Bowl together. So as you can imagine, competition is going to be quite intense. So to see these results during this high season, like high moment, was quite satisfying to experience. Last lever, this is the bonus one. Not the only one, but it is a bonus one, is the bid and budget scheduling. And again, I want to emphasize that not all time windows are equal, right? So concentrating your spend when the demand is high, I think it's much more efficient than just kind of letting your budget spend across, like 24 hours in a day. We do have a poll. How do you handle seasonal demand peaks today? And while the answers are coming in, we do have a question in the Q&A. How do you define your target CPA when demand peaks temporarily to capture most of the impressions? Um, I'll just answer this one live. But in my experience, the CPA targets don't typically change. It's actually your bid and your budget that changes that'll allow you to get more, visibility. Um, so, um, right, when there's extra competition, right, you're going to have to be more competitive with your bids as well. CPMs are going to go up, right, making the space a lot more competitive. And so you should really anticipate increased CPTs, and to stay ahead of that and to be proactive, you want to also be proactive with your bids. Um, I would say just increasing your budget, right, is going to be more efficient than just not doing anything. Um, some people will increase bids before increasing budget, especially if you're not hitting that daily max cap, right? But I would say ideal situation is that if you're already kind of hitting your or getting close to your daily budget, ideal situation is going to be if you increase your budget and your bids. We don't want to be crazy aggressive with those increases because I noticed that when we increase really aggressively for bid and budget, there tends to be a bit of a spike in CPA, and I would prefer to avoid that. So if we can kind of prepare and win that relevancy and increase our relevancy for certain keywords, then you would actually just increase your bids and budgets leading up to that high seasonal moment. All right. Here we go. All right, results are in. Well, this is 25% an even split across all four options. We raise date budgets only. We raise bids only. We raise bids and budget ahead of time. I like that one. And we don't plan for seasonal peaks. Okay. So this is really interesting. Yeah, I hope I can connect with all of you after this. I'm curious to learn more about your strategy. All right. So as I mentioned, specific to this, we were preparing for the Super Bowl. And preparation started out about a week out. I went into our impression share tracker or impression share history and looked up specific brand terms and noticed that there were certain competitors that were starting to increase their impression share on the brand terms. So in this case, DraftKings aggressively started bidding up, starting to win that impression share the weekend ahead of the Super Bowl. And search demand did increase for PrizePicks and Prize, just like variations of the brand, really, resulting in an estimated, right, 1,000 daily installs. So you can imagine that, right, we want to capitalize on that additional volume. Um, so we deployed a bid and budget schedule about 3 to 5 days leading up to the actual game day. And then the bid was reset automatically the following day. So not only did we increase our bids, but we also scheduled our spend across specific windows of when we anticipated that the demand would be higher. Oops. Right. And oh, sorry, I should have gone to this slide when I was explaining that. So yeah, 5 days before, right, we implemented a budget schedule, right, game day window. This is going to be a huge day. This is probably the most concentrated spend during that 3 to 5 days. And then, of course, post Super Bowl, we just reset everything to our normal bids. And the result was a 71% decrease in CPA during Super Bowl week. So as you mentioned, as I mentioned, I typically see a CPA increase during these like high moments of seasonality, but in this case, we actually saw a 71% decrease in CPA when competition was crazy high. Um, and I think this worked because we were working kind of thinking about all different angles, right? Not just budget, not just bids, but when to concentrate those bid increases and decreases and budget increases and decreases. Um, and we were leveraging custom automations, right, to figure out which keywords are going to be the most profitable for us, which keyword is resulting in that specific custom event that we're optimizing towards. And this all just kind of compounds on top of each other. I'm sure that, if you are an experienced UA manager, it's not just one thing, right? The keyword bids is just one lever. You have to think about, other aspects as well. Oh, all right. So I kind of started talking about this already, but we want to be able to connect all three parts, right? So the keyword discovery, the automation rules, the bid and budget scheduling all together. Because you can do each of these by themselves, right? But I think these things work together best in unison because they compound, right? Discovery is going to give you a consistent pool of new keywords to test, right? So automation rules are going to optimize based on like quality signals. And then your bid scheduling and your budget scheduling is going to make sure that whatever amount of money that you are spending on is being used the most efficiently when the demand is high. All right. Key takeaways. Um, Pretty quick, right? Discovery is a pipeline, not a project, right? You want to have this consistently going on in the background, whether it's through, broad match campaigns or discovery campaigns within the native console or through exact match discovery on Campaign Manager. Because as long as if your goal is to scale, right? Especially those generic uh, keywords that I feel like my clients constantly talk about is that means you have to do discovery constantly as well. So if you have an automated process to do this, it's going to take a lot of the manual lift off of your shoulders. Second one is automation rules, right? This is going to keep your overall portfolio, your evergreen campaigns optimized, which means that you are going to be able to better scale while maintaining performance and hopefully avoiding, CPI spikes. Um, and of course, the last one is demand peaks are on a calendar, right? So like we know that most apps, I would say like all categories, have some moments of seasonality and patterns. Um, look at 365 days of activity for your app and see if you can identify any patterns. Otherwise, we do have a tool in AppTweak that's going to show you, seasonality patterns within your app's category. And once you identify those patterns, you're going to be able to plan for them, which means that you can also plan for bid and budget scheduling ahead of, high seasonal moments, right? Whether you're a sports app or like a health app or, productivity app. Um, so I would say that these are the top three takeaways from this experience. I think we have time for a Q&A, but maybe we can get started on that. All right. Okay, we do have a question coming in. All right, so how much budget should you allocate to discovery campaigns on average? Okay. Um, I think this depends on how mature your app is. For a lot of the mature apps, like they've been around for years, like pretty healthy, monthly budget. I find that about 10, 15, maybe even up to 20% is allocated to discovery. If your app is quite young and you're just starting out and you really only know that your brand terms are working, then that discovery budget is going to be a little bit higher, maybe like 20, 30%. But yeah, I would say that it largely depends on the age or maturity of your app. All right. Any other questions coming in? No? Let me. Oh, all right. if we're just getting started with using automations, what do you recommend starting with? Okay, I do have, okay, number one is monitoring your daily budget, right? Your daily spend. Because as soon as you hit that daily cap, and you basically lose visibility. Within Campaign Manager, we do have like a monitor option. So one is that. And plus, if you are capping, right, you can also set up an automation to increase your daily budget, right, if you are hitting performance goal and capping. The second one is a like a keyword discovery related custom automation. So if you have a discovery campaign, then I recommend setting up automations to extract those promising search terms and then transfer them into the relevant exact match campaigns or ad groups. So not only can AppTweak's Campaign Manager using exact match discovery identify keywords, but you can also leverage custom automations to, then extract, transfer, and negate those keywords in the discovery campaign. And then the last one is just like performance related custom automation. So again, if you have like a CPA target or a ROAS target, then you can set up, rules to increase a keyword bid based on whatever conditions you think make sense. And also the inverse, right? Decrease if performance is not looking too good. But I would say those are probably the top four. Cool. And if you are an AppTweak customer, happy to connect with you and work on, crafting some of those custom automations together. Oh, any other questions coming in? No? All right. Um, I do believe we are like the recording for this is going to be available, and the deck will also be available. Let's see. I think otherwise, I think that's a wrap. Thank you so much for attending. Yeah, hopefully you guys found some value in the content in today's webinar. Thank you, everyone.